Today I'm going to replace a casement window with a standard window. The first thing I did was take out the plastic tabs and expose the screws. There are 4 in each window. 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, I'm going to take my utility knife and run along the caulk lines to loosen up the window. As you can see, I've loosened up the caulk. The caulk line has been loosened all the way around the window. Okay, next step, I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to reverse out all these screws in here. So let me do that while I put my phone down. Okay, next step is to take your crowbar and pry the window out. So now I have to go to the outside window and loosen up all that caulk. So the trim work is finished. I had to add a couple of 2x4s to the bottom and to the top. And now I'm getting ready to go on the outside and screw the window in. And so the window is in position. Now let me get my drill and screw it into the 2x4s. Alright, so the window is nice and secure. Let me start my spray foam and caulk and trim work. So this is what it looks like from the inside. It's in position. It's going to need lots of spray foam and some trim work, which is no problem at all. So as you can see, the window works just fine. I'll put some additional shimming on the interior. The window is plumb. The window is also level. So I think I did a good job. I'm happy with it. Saved myself about $150 versus paying a professional. So let me show you what it looks like after I finish my spray foam. So when you're using spray foam, you always need gloves, and you basically just seal everywhere you see air. All through here. I'll show you what it looks like when done. So the spray foam is in place on the inside. and the outside. Now I'm going to let it dry. Then I'm going to use my utility knife to cut it away. Then I'm going to start my trim work. I'm using wood on the inside. On the outside, I'm going to use PVC for my trim. Spray foam is dried. I got my scraper and my utility knife getting ready to knock down all the foam and start the trim work. So this is what I'm using to saw the framework and trim. I'm using a handheld dry tile saw, but I put in a 4-inch wood cutting blade, and it works really nicely. It's super lightweight, and it's easy to maneuver between 90s and 45s. Got it from Harbor Freight for like 30 bucks. My absolute favorite tool to cut wood with, or tile, or metal. Saw has got a great motor. It cuts super easily. So I finished trimming out the window, and I used a trim strip in the middle right here to merge the two walls together. Then I just used some 1x2s on the outside and on the inside to frame the window and make it look super duper nice. My next step is to hit it with a little bit of 320 grit sandpaper. Then I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it to match the existing wall. And after I paint it, I'm going to add some white casing so that it matches the door. This is a super fun project, and I saved a heap of money by doing it myself. Let me show you what it looks like after it's painted. Okay, the window has been painted. It looks and works beautiful. The last step, add a little white trim so it matches the door. Let me show you how I cut my trim, and I'll put it right up, and then this project is done. Okay, so in order to cut my trim, I measure the full length of where I want my trim to go. After I measure the full length of where I want my trim to go, I do 2 lines. I draw 2 lines on the trim. The first line is for the length. The other line is to cut out the triangle, which is typically a 45-degree angle. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is what I was showing you guys. The first line is the length. That's my straight cut. And then I just estimated the diagonal to make a 45, and you see it's going to cut out a perfect little triangle. And any gaps, I can always re-trim a little bit to get a better fit, a better articulation, or I can just caulk and paint. So that's how I cut my miters. No special tools, just a little estimation and basic geometry skills. Let me cut it and put it up and show you the finished product. So here's the finished window. I swapped out an old casement window that was broken, and I put in a hopper window, and the window was $58 plus caulk and glue and finishing nails I already had around the house. So the total project was under $65. I did all the trim work myself. I did all the framing myself. I did the painting myself. And I drilled the window in place myself. I did have to ask my husband for help taking out the old window. We used a crowbar and a hammer for that step. In the future, I'll probably try to use a sawzall or a cutting tool to get the old window out and get in better position for the new window. But I am totally jazzed about the way it turned out. I'm jazzed about the money I saved from doing it myself. And I would highly recommend anyone that needs to replace a window, do it yourself. It's very cost efficient. I went from a 38-inch window to a 35-inch window, and all I needed was a couple of 2x4s and 1x4s to help bulk out and frame out the difference, saving tons of money versus getting a custom window. Now the articulations were just estimated. I don't own a framing square. I don't use a protractor. I just use basic geometry, knowledge of angles, 90s and 45s, and I cut my miters. I do not have a miter saw. I just use my tile saw, but I put it a 4-inch wood blade and it works perfectly. And I'm super psyched about the way it looks. I'm super psyched about the way it blends in with the rest of the room. As beautiful as it is, I'm probably going to cover it with a curtain just because I've sewn a matching curtain for the door and the window. Thank you so much for watching. Please try this project. This is what it looks like on the outside. Trimmed and painted. You guys can do this project. It's very easy. I used some PVC, a little bit of treated wood on the bottom ledge, and I used some primer and Rust-Oleum paint. And my window is complete and it looks and functions great.